What's your how's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast, Rolling Stone Magazine says, initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, allowing fans to discover the creative workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are also sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your entire business code CPPOD at darkfusionsystems.com. Make sure the podcast below. Feature presentation time. We're going over to Scotland for this one. We have Janine from the band Vukovi. You may have heard of them from a number of people saying, check out Vukovi when we ask the question, name 3 bands or artists you'd love to see more people get into, but also because they're on Sharp Tone and they've got a great sound. Their hard rock alt metal sound is coming to you with a brand new album called My God Has Got a Gun, coming out on January 24th. We not only talk about what Janine and Hamish went through to go and create this album, the mental toll it took, but also how that vulnerability really comes through with their music and how it comes through is genuine to the point where you will definitely want to go back through these songs and it will hit you in such an emotional way you don't know what to say. So don't say anything. Just get ready for it with us. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. This band has been brought up a number of times whenever I ask artists at the end of these podcasts, name 3 bands or artists that you love that you'd love to see more people get into right now. They have been a hot commodity, and they've just been continually growing and growing as time goes on. They're getting more known over here in the U.S., but known all across the world as well. And in January, on the 24th, they're going to be releasing their brand new My God Has Got a Gun. And if you like that hard rock, alt metal fusion style, this is definitely a band that you're going to want to check out if you haven't found out about them already. And if you have, get excited because we're going to talk all about this album and have a blast. So please welcome Janine from the band Vukovi to the podcast. So Janine, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Hello. Hi.
Well, hello. Hi. How are you doing today? As you know, we're still getting closer to that album release point, but how's life going for you?
No, that's such an open question. I'm like, oh shit, where did I start? Can I swear?
Yeah. Oh yeah, fuck yeah, you can swear.
Cool. Oh, yeah, cool, that's fine. It's no, it's good. I think like it's I've been trying to like figure out the past few weeks like how to manage the expectation of being an artist and your own expectations and manage that to a point where you're not spiraling and you're not setting unrealistic goals for yourself. And I think this album especially, it was quite primally written. We were all both in a certain state of mind at the time. So I think I guess when you start to release the album and people start listening to it, or at least the singles, it's like, oh fuck, that's it. It's out there. Like this, our souls are like in other people's hands. Like,
I mean, especially on this album, I'll say on this album, you definitely release a lot of your soul. Both you and Hamish, you definitely put that all out there with My God Has Got a Gun. So when it comes to understanding those expectations that you have for an album like this and the incredible content that is behind it, not only lyrically, but also instrumentally as well, trying to find a way to not get too overhyped on those expectations,
yes,
but not get so far drawn back where you're not fully appreciating it or maybe dreading the process of it coming out. You really don't want that. You got to find the middle.
You're absolutely spot on. It's having that balance of like keeping tabs on your expectation and like you go with it. Because I think a lot of times with artists, you're like, what is the goal here? Like, what is your end goal? Like, what do we want? Because if you don't know, like, it's like, what are you chasing? What you actually... And I think a lot of artists get wrapped up in that and they forget to enjoy the moment and live for the now and enjoy it. So it's trying to find that balance of, this is a business, we are in our band, but also trying to still have that love for it and live like a day at a time. And try not get too wrapped up on, because I do feel like the industry is so unpredictable. Like half the shit that's happened to us, we never would have called it. Like it's just happened, and it's just trying to sort of tell ourselves that like everything's going to be okay. Like we both suffer from very, very extreme anxiety, and I think that obviously doesn't help being in a band and, you know, being in the public eye to a certain extent. And that feels like a lot of our battles a lot of the time, is trying to sort of reassure ourselves, like, you're okay, like, you're not a fucking failure, like, everything's fine, the album's great, you love it, just keep being yourself. It's that's sort of, we're in the process just now, because the album's not out yet, but we've started rolling out the singles, and again, it's like, there's been so much work and build up to that. When it happens, you're like, all right, that's it. But then it's these things take time.
It's something that's going to take a whole long process to really get this out there, because of course you're releasing the singles, but then all of a sudden the album release comes out, and then there's a lot of people that are going to listen to it, but a lot of people are also going to find out about the album when they go and see you play live, whether you're the headline actor, you're a supporting act for a much bigger band too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are going on there. And when it comes to the anxiety portion of that's something that I hear from a lot of artists as well, because if you think about this, you're in a field where, from a job standpoint, it's all based on your creativity. And a lot of that creativity comes from opening up and really showing us the true you of who you are and the true person who Hamish is. So when you put this all together and you put it out there, it is something where you want to enjoy the moment because you're being creative, you're doing something that you absolutely love, and you don't want to lose sight of that. But at the same time, when the factors of the real world come in, business, finance, everything around there, it gets so muddied up where we focus in on the negative, as humans tend to do, versus focusing on the positives. It gets really rough. So kind of connecting to that anxiety, there's a lot of people that could listen to that and say, hey, I'm the same way too. There's a lot of things with my job that I can't stand that get me so anxious. And it takes away from the love and the things I like to do, like spending time with family, friends, all the good stuff.
Yes, exactly. And then that's the thing, it's not just the music industry, it's this is what we know. And I think sometimes it can be magnified because you have that pressure of social media and constantly thinking ahead. And again, it's like, when you create something and then release it to the world, like, it's you're kind of feel like you're in a firing line almost, like, this is us, this is it, like, but we felt like that with Mila, and we had no idea it was gonna go that was gonna do as well as it did, and it's been a mad time, like, because we've not really done much press so far, but it's starting to ramp up now. So, like, actually talking about the journey to now, like, it kind of is blowing my mind a bit. It's just like felt like we've not had time to like sit and actually think about the past couple of years has been crazy.
Well, let's take a step back and let's take a look at the past couple of years to really get an appreciation for everything that you've done as Vukovi. But not necessarily as a way to like just, okay, let's talk about the history of it. But because I know you just brought up, with anxiety and not necessarily sure what's going on here. But then if you get a chance to really reflect, like you said, and see how far you've come, then not only does his fans get to understand your journey, but then you get to see just how far you've truly come and see, the art that you're putting out there, the art that you're creating, it's having a positive impact on the world. It's having a positive impact on you as well. I mean, it being your fourth album coming out with My God Has Got a Gun and being signed to Sharptone, and not only that, but having other bands and other artists recognize you, it means a lot to say that you have truly done something and you truly earned this place. I mean, streaming through the album before it even came out to get prepared for this, I reached out to a couple of people who do album reviews, and I'm like, put this on your radar because I want to see what you have to say about this. I want to get you to know about this already. Give them the title of it, give it the date. It's like, go for it. Mark it down already. Go. So what's this journey been like since Nulla came out to really open up and see how far this band has come and really get an understanding of where this band can go in the future?
I mean, like, honestly, that I appreciate you saying that. We're both having a wee bit of imposter syndrome just now, but I think being Scottish does contribute to that as well. We're a very pessimistic nation and have very high expectations, and but I think for this album in particular, we started writing this album when I just started going to some very intense therapy. It's something I'd never really addressed before, not to this extent. And I got 12 sessions, and it was hell. Like it was really, really, really fucking hard. And my only way to sort of cope with that at the time was to paint after my sessions. Because sometimes I just think you don't really have words to even describe what you're feeling or thinking at the time. So the artwork is the paintings that I would do after my sessions, and that's what sort of started with that idea for the artwork. And I guess where both of our mental states at the time, that's the album is, again, it's primal in that way, that it's basically, it is a reflection of where we were in our lives at the time. So I feel like the album is very dark, and there's a lot of anger, but there's also a lot of healing in it, and power, self-awareness, freedom. Like it's that double-edged sword. When you're healing, you're having to relive a lot of things at the same time. So you're like, you don't know. Sometimes it's like, is this even worth it? Like what like facing those demons. So I guess the album for me is got such an emotional attachment because that was my way of coping. It was the creation of this album. And I think for Hamish as well, like Nuala had done so well, and we'd learned so much, and again we'd evolved since Nuala, and this is again, I feel like this is our representation of our evolution and where we are in our lives, musically, personally, lyrically, and I think that's what's so terrifying as well. Like, I mean, every album artists do, you're gonna have those imposter syndrome moments and points where you're second guessing what you make. So I think we have always done things the way we want to do it, and we always keep going, and we put a lot of thought and effort into our visuals as well, and so we are still in the thick of it. Like, we've got another two singles to come out. We've got another video to do. Hamish is editing this video right now in my spare room. So yeah, I feel like I've not really had much time to sit and really think about it. The past few years, like just this process of this album. And again, it's terrifying because I don't feel like we've played it safe, like with the artwork and some of the themes and the title, and but again, it's up to the public now. Like, when it's out. Like, that's, time will tell. But I just know that we've been completely genuine and open about who we are as people, and true to ourselves, and this is who we are, and that's sort of where I think we are at right now in our heads. But it's so lovely to like actually start to talk about it now, and people are starting to hear the album, like yourself, and getting their feelings from it and how it made them feel, and it is exciting. Like, I'm happy. Like, this year's been one of the best years of my life. Like, I went to America, recorded this album with Machine, who's a fucking legend. We really pushed ourselves out of our comfort zone. We toured America for the first time. It was a co-headline tour. People came to the shows. They were busy. Like, and it's that in itself, like, in a completely different continent, and seeing people driving 12 hours to come and see you play live, and like that in itself was like really hard to get our head. It was really hard to get our heads around at the time. Yeah, sometimes I think it's quite a bit of disbelief with like how things are going, or how things how certain things went, like the American tour. It was such a success. Yeah, it's it's mad talking about it. It's because like as I said, we've not done that many interviews yet about it. So like I'm actually having to now open up about the whole process and of the album and what we've been doing for the past couple of years. So it's very reflective.
I'll say, but it also has to feel nice too, because now you actually get a chance to open up about the album and talk about it. But for us who have already had the chance to actually listen to the album and really dive deep into it, it's something where we already have that inflection. We already have that view into what this album is, and that view into what you were talking about, that view into what you were going through, the view through the artistic expression that you were using on here. So when it comes to opening up about it, you're not necessarily opening up to full strangers and just someone who has no idea what's going on.
Yes.
People have the context now. And I did also want to bring this up because when you brought up imposter syndrome, the first thing that came to my mind was an interview I did with Maria from the band Future Palace. They're out of Germany, and I absolutely love that band too.
Yeah, cool band.
She talked about the exact same thing as their band was starting to gain a lot of success. Like, I'm not sure if I actually deserve this. Am I supposed to be here? Is this actually supposed to be what I'm supposed to do? Yeah. And taking a step and kind of hearing what she had to say about it, it's very reflective of the same exact things that you're saying today, and seeing how she's been able to continue to build herself up and realize that her art is having an impact and that she absolutely belongs to be doing this. You're going to see the same thing with this album too. Trust me.
It's so interesting because the same thing happened with Nuala. Like, we were like a fucking sci-fi concept album about an alien called Nuala, and it's, again, that was for me was like the awakening album where I was like, I need fucking help. So like this is like the progression of like I need help as a Nuala. Like I'm finally free to feel like I have the strength to really fight these demons and face my past or whatever. And then this album is the torture of going through the healing process and really sort of the light theme of the album is almost like an exorcism, like rebirths you. You're literally purging something out of you and forgiving it and making peace with it. So that's why a lot of the album has like the sort of tape recordings. It's like witness accounts of the event, like this otherworldly sort of event of this horrific purging of, like, I guess like some black pretty dark demons. So yeah, but sorry, back to the point was like with Nuala, when that we were like, pure imposter syndrome, like I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen here. And then when the album was out, and then when we started talking to fans, and we did like the Electric Ballroom show, and I spoke to some fans during the day at like a pop-up shop, and I couldn't believe how much they got it. Like they got it, because people aren't stupid. That's the thing though. You think you write music and like, oh, no one's gonna get this, but I'm like, that is such a lie. Like, people need that. Like, and the way that our fans had connected with our music and how much it had helped them and the lives that we'd saved, it was, again, it's just like, holy shit, like, I had no idea that this would have had this effect on people. And I guess this album even more so, it's delving into a much deeper level of facing like the reality of trauma, I guess. But also there's a positivity there, because it is about healing, and it's anger, but it's the primal fight and the survival mode. It's like, this is not gonna fucking beat me. Like, I will not be beaten. And the very few people that I have let hear the album, they did say a lot of similar feelings. It was like, I feel the anger, I feel power, trauma. Like, it's dark, but it's very powerful, and that's not just the lyrics, the riffs, the music. It's mental.
It really is.
They don't do things in half measures.
No, they did full out on this one. And when you talked about, using this album and having it as like that, like a healing reflective tool where, of course, you're gonna have to go through pain to get to that point, especially when you think about, recording tape sessions of, through going through therapy. That's something we have to do. If you go through therapy, you're constantly looking back at things from the past. And yes, you have to relive them. And yes, it is scary. It's going to bring up some painful moments. But you look back at that in order to reevaluate, get a new perspective on it, understand what had happened, understand the impact that it had to either
why you are the way you are,
to either A, rectify that impact that it had and get you on the right path, or B, make sure it doesn't happen again, because I'm going through something similar too, just trying to make sure I can build up a better relationship with my brother going forward. And there's a lot of stuff from the past that it's like, okay, mentally I was holding on to this stuff, but now it's okay, let's take a look back at those moments. All right, let's take a better idea of seeing where these things were coming from, why maybe he did these things, what was influencing him, so we can get a greater understanding, and then go through with a more positive outlook. And listening through the album, I had to go find this point because it was when I was listening to, which song was it? I was listening to Fallen Beyond, which is the 4th song on the track list, everybody.
Yeah.
I was getting through this and I started noticing something that I picked up on the first 3 songs of the album, and I got to this one and I found this pattern that I absolutely love from the album. And it's not it's not like a lyrical pattern, or it's not a overall song constructive pattern. It's just something I found, and I love it, that the idea of the lead up to the chorus of a lot of these songs, it gets you really into the song sonically. Like intrinsically, you are into these songs. You are starting to get into them deeper. But then when the chorus hits, that's what reveals the true idea behind the song and really kind of where the message is coming from before you go through the rest of it to clearly understand the song's intention. And that's where you're looking back at it. Now you see this certain idea, this certain new perspective, and then you can either listen through the song and really let it flesh out, and then you want to go back and revisit it to really get through that, like going through therapy and healing, or you can just start right then and there and really start to process through it. So no matter what you were talking about, especially with some of these songs, it opened up in a completely different way, but it opened up in a way where we were sonically into the song, but then when we got the message, we could either go back to the beginning and see it in a whole new light, or we could continue on and enjoy it fully for its light and then restart over.
Yeah.
You wanted to go back to these songs over and over again because it had that intrinsic value of wanting to go back so you could get the most out of it. And it also doesn't hurt that sonically these songs are pretty damn good too.
Nice. Thanks. I feel like it is, and again, it's like an album that it takes quite a few listens to really like digest what the fuck just happened. Like, it's very intense, and there's a couple of songs that I think is a bit of a respite. It's a bit more melancholic and romantic, because there's a lot of sexual themes in it as well, and it's the sexual empowerment, and I think that comes with healing as well. Like, there's no shame around being a woman and, wanting to be desired, and so there's a lot of that in it as well, and it's a pretty mad album.
Well, even bringing up a lot of those sexual, themes and thematics for sexual empowerment as well. Like you were saying, it brings up a lot of thoughts of wanting to be wanted, to be desired, especially from a female perspective.
Yeah.
From the male's perspective, we could kind of go the same way and say we just want to have that desire to be wanted by somebody just because of who we are and not because of what we can bring to the table in terms of money, resources, security, whatever it is. We just want to be cared about for who we are. And having that empowerment to be able to have something like that, or be able to trust yourself to be able to jump in relationships, and that's what you're looking for, it adds so much more to it. But you have to be able to actually think about these things and look at them and process through them before you can actually step forward. Because if you let them happen and then you put them off to the side, it's like bottling up emotions. They're just going to build up over and over time, and then you're going to end up acting out on those in an irrational way.
Oh, massively. Yeah. It's, I think that, it comes hand in hand with people that go through addiction, because it's like their way of coping, and it's a quick fix. And I think this is the sort of theme of this album. It's like a death and then a rebirth, and you're purging some horrific things out of you to try and like process, the things that you're faced, the things that you've decided to face up to. And for me, I want that to give people hope and strength, and I've almost like the last song, the start is like we use these ancient Scottish horns that they used to play before a battle, like back in the day, and that for me was like, it is like a war cry almost of like, I can fucking fight this. And I want that to give people power and motivation that they're going to be okay, and it's okay to feel all of these things, but don't sit on them and don't swallow them, and don't think that you don't deserve happiness, because everyone deserves happiness. Everyone deserves to be loved. Like, these are all things that I went through during the you know, writing that with especially lyrically for the album. It was like, I deserve all these things. Like, it's just taken me a long time to really work out. But like, I guess it's loving yourself as well, and really liking the person that you are and the person that you're becoming. And so yeah, I think this is why this album, and it's not just us, all artists have an emotional attachment to their music. It's just scary, like when you create something like this, and it's going to be out to the world to judge and listen to. But if Nula's anything to go by, I feel like I trust our fans, and I trust that our fans, that's why they connect to our music, because it's so raw and it's honest, and we don't sugarcoat our mental health. We're very upfront about it, and I'm so proud of the community of people that love Vukovi, and even with our live shows, the different types of people and scenes and cultures that are all in the one room being pals. It feels like such a community, and it gives you so much hope. And I know that a lot of live music is that outlet for people to escape from the life, like, so yeah, it's why we do it.
And it's a beautiful thing that you do it too, trust me, because when you're bringing up live music and different crowds coming together, different scenes coming together, and just being able to enjoy live music in perfect harmony, it also kind of makes me think about myself too, where it's, I mean, in the year 2024, I'm going to end up at the end of the year being 53 shows in the year. So I'm averaging one a week, which I'm like I'm happy about that. But at the same time, I have to take a look back and think too, okay, I'm going to shows because I like them, but am I potentially going to them to maybe not have to think about certain things? Well, yeah.
I know what you mean. Well, yeah, everyone has their vices. Like, yeah, I think that's quite. I think there's a lot worse things you could be doing to cope.
Yeah, there's a lot worse things that you could be doing too. But it's when you're talking about, using this album as a way to not only process through everything that you were dealing with, but then find that love for yourself as well. That's something that a message too that I think we definitely need to see a lot more in a genuine way, because there are so many places out there, especially online, social media, where you see people say, accept yourself, love yourself, but then the full on just onslaught from maybe even those people as well, but from every other site and source to just try and get you to follow along with certain trends, be a certain way, because that's what's looking cool on social media. That's what they think of this whole entire standard of who you have to be is, when people are always completely different. Yet when you're actually able to take that step back and really reflect on yourself, and I'm going to say, understand what makes you happy, understand the things that you like about yourself, also recognize the flaws that you have within yourself that you understand, because if you think that you're flawless, trust me, none of us are flawless. There's probably something that you're doing that you could be doing better, that you want to see yourself do better in, but accepting that you're not doing that and actually taking action to correct that and do better for yourself. So it's not only accepting yourself for who you are, but also reflecting and seeing where you can do better
isn't
for
it?
yourself.
Like, I need to like really reflect on the shit that I've done wrong and the mistakes that I've made as well. And I guess this album is, again, it's very bipolar in a way, because there's a lot of conflicted, like confusing statements of like, I'm a fuck up, or I'm powerful. But again, that is mental health. Like, you're so up and down, and your realities change in your head all the time, and but I think just being self-aware enough to know that you should always keep working on yourself, and you're always gonna evolve. And it's, again, I think people are very hard on themselves as well. I think a lot of people expect things to happen now, results now, but everything takes time. But I guess social media and that sort of hyper content does make people feel like success is instant and progress is instant. It's sort of throwaway. It needs to happen now. I need this right now. And that's, again, it's something that I'm trying to learn to do. It's taking a step back and trusting the process, and know that I'm self-aware. I'm doing the things. I'm getting tools to help me have a much more enjoyable life, and enjoy the process and enjoy every day as it comes, and try not to spiral too much about the future. And again, like, just remind myself that everyone deserves a bit of happiness, and to love themselves as well and accept who they are. But it's again, like, music is the best way for me for both of us to express that. Yeah.
Honestly, I think you may have said it best when you said accountability to yourself, and then you went through not only what that meant, but also how you were looking at it through your own lens as well, what you were doing for yourself, especially over the creation of this album and over the past couple of years, because this album definitely has that bipolar look of, I am powerful, I am strong, I got this, and also then looking at the negatives of, I fucked up, I screwed up, I can't get much better than this, and having to...
I don't deserve happiness, like, I'm a piece of shit, like, poor me. It's like, this is the thing, it was such a primal creation, this album, because we locked ourselves away for a few weeks and we poured our souls into this, and I guess it's like almost like a journal of the process and the journey and the ups and downs and the torture that we went through, to, I guess, like, bring out your true self, your inner self, and your vulnerabilities. We've always done that though, but I think it doesn't get easier, basically. But again, I've never been so happy in my life. I can honestly say that, and I'm so proud of what we've done and achieved. I'm so proud of who I am becoming and I have become, and I'm under no illusion that I'm this perfect person. Like, I have a lot of down days and a lot of ups and downs, and that's just something that I need to live with. But it's just so weird to talk about it now. Like, I never thought we would get to this point. Like, me walking into, like, my first ever therapy session to now, like, I didn't think I would get through any of that. And I just want that to give people hope. Like, and there's a lot of people and artists doing this now, and it's great. But I just hope that people getting attached to this album and getting to know it, like, it gives them a bit of hope of, like, everyone can do this and it's never too late.
Say, before I ask my final question and wrap this up, I do want to say one thing, and this is where I believe the success of this album is going to come from. Because when I listened through this album, again, like I said, when I jumped into it sonically, you get right into it. And then when that chorus hits, you really get a full understanding of where the song is coming from. And that allows you to fully immerse yourself into the song, into the idea of it, by either going back, starting over and really thinking about it in that full context, or letting it ride out, enjoying, seeing where it's going there, and then doing the exact same thing and really getting into it. But the reason why I think it's going to be a success is because not only were you open and vulnerable on it, but when I was listening through the album, it sounds great, but there's also a thing of whatever was going through at that time, whatever Taco was going through, whether it was rough, tough, empowerment, whatever it might be. It was something that I could believe in because it felt through the album that whoever was writing it, whoever was playing this stuff, also believed in it as well and was living it. And just how you explained it in the past 30 some minutes, you absolutely proved that whole entire point that you are living this every step of the way. So that's where the believability comes in. That's where the honesty comes in. And being that raw and open on this album absolutely worked out to a point where, by me sending this to people and saying you have to review this app release day, that says that, especially in my mind, you absolutely achieved what you went out to achieve, and you even made it better for yourself in the process.
Absolutely. Like, that's the thing. Like, being like that, Vukovi is our livelihood, and it is a business as well at the end of the day. But like, my mental state and Hamish's mental state is more important than anything else. And it's very hard to keep on top of that, especially in this industry, and it's very unpredictable, and it's very intense, but it's we've done it, we did it, we got through it, and we've created something that we're immensely proud of. And it's now it's in the hands of the gods.
It's in the hands of the gods, and they should be treating you just fine with this release. But Janine, because I know you and Hamish are doing a full night of editing a video for the next music video. I do have one more question I want to ask you before I wrap this up, so you can get back to making this Vukovi experience even better. And it was the question I asked multiple artists that I led with on this episode that got me to actually know who Vukovi was. And now I get to ask you the exact same thing. It is a way for us, myself and listeners, to get to know more great new music and for you to help support the music that you love. So I'm going to ask for 3. Can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would love to see more people get into right now?
Definitely On People. They're coming on tour with us next year. And another Sharp Tone band, Insane. I am loving Dead Pony, for another Scottish band. These guys are pretty big. I love Bill Murray. Like, I have so much love for Bill Murray. I think they're crossing so many genres. I actually saw them in Amsterdam last week with Sleep Token, and what a fucking show. Like, just the saxophone, the lead singer is like a stand-up show at the same time. The music's very serious, but his chat is funny as fuck. It made me really smile. Like, I think right now that I would say in this week, like, that's who's at the forefront of my mind. It changes all the time, but
But those are 3 great picks too, and I do like the Bill Murray pick too. They're really starting to gain a lot of traction, and Ridiculous. It's fantastic to see. So, Janine, I want to thank you for taking the time today for me on the podcast. I had a great conversation with you. I hope you enjoyed it as well. But I'm going to end this episode with 3 things. First things first, when it comes to Vukovi and the brand new album, My God Has Got a Gun, coming out on January 4th, 2025, you're going to want to stay in touch with the band, get to know exactly what they're doing, when they're coming out with these singles, when they're going to be announcing tours, and when you get to go and see them live, whether you're in Europe, US, over in Japan, anywhere, Australia. Go and see them play live when they come by you. To make sure you know where they're going to be, go to the description of the podcast below where it says find Vukovi online. Links, labels for everything, for social media, YouTube, where you can stream the album when it comes out, where you can stream all their other music, check out everything else, find them on tour, and go pick up some merch as well, as all down there. I'm doing all the research for you, so go down there, check it out. I'm not going to let you down, so don't let us down either. Now it's time for number 2, Janine. Whenever I've guests in the podcast, I enjoy the podcast, I always make a certain promise as a way to say thank you, I appreciate, and I wish to continue to support the band in the future. This is a great conversation, so my promise to you is this. It is a when. When means this is going to happen, we just do not have a day or time yet. But when I get to see you perform live for the first time, I will come look for you. I will find you. I will say hello. But the promise is, first round's on me.
Oh, here we go. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Yep. So start. I know you came back. You were in the U.S. earlier, but come on back. I need to see this.
We're hoping so. There's chat of it. So you're welcome to come to a show. You're welcome to come and hang out. Absolutely. Let's stay in touch.
Oh, we will do that. And now it's time for number 3, Janine. I cannot end this by saying goodbye because I made you a promise. I have to make good on that promise.
Yes.
Beyond that, though, I would absolutely love to have you back on the podcast again in the future because I've been doing this for almost 6 years now. I do not want to stop this. I ain't stopping this. It's growing continuously. So I want to make sure this is a continuous thing. So this is not goodbye.
Absolutely. No,
this is going to be.
I'm 100%. Let's do it.
Hell
Let's do it post-album. Let's do it maybe next summer.
Yeah.
So the album's been out for a few months and we'll see where I am mentally. Hamish will probably be with us this time because we won't have to have videos edited. That would be great.
That would be perfect. I'll when I get everything set up and I reach out to Tori who helped me set it up.
Love Tori. She's an absolute babe.
Tori is an absolute gem. Yeah, I'll talk to her about it. We'll get it all set up. So
amazing.
This ain't goodbye, Janine. This is.
It's not goodbye. See you later.
I'll see you later. Yeah, you
see
know.
You later.
Well, folks, this is my interview with Janine from the band Vukovi. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. Before I start the final thought, I got to say this. We brought up the fact that, we should do one of these in summer 2025 post-album release. Yeah, immediately after we stopped the interview, I emailed Tori from Adam Slitter to be like, yo, we got to do this. So that's already been sent off. But what I really want to talk about is the fact that Janine just opened up so just willingly on this episode to talk about going through therapy, talk about how she was feeling, and talk about how all of that imposter syndrome and wanting to constantly being able to be like, you're powerful, you have this, you got this, and the thoughts of you don't have this, you're not worth anything, what did you ever do? Like that, going through therapy and having to relive a lot of those moments to try and get better, that's something that we actually really go through, especially if you go through this stuff, or you take a look at yourself and try and find what it is you love about yourself, but you also notice the flaws that you have that you do not want to have. It's not about just saying, oh, I love myself for everything it is and I'm perfect and there's nothing that you can do to change me. It's not about that. What it's about is just taking that step back and realizing that, we're human, we're not perfect, and there's things that you even don't like about yourself. And it's not about just letting them go and letting them fester. It's about, okay, if I want to get better, let's take action on those. Let's actually work through those issues and get better from them. And I'm not saying, oh, you're my Kevin being preachy. No, I'm just saying, this album really takes that look into what you love about yourself, the things that you don't like about yourself, but taking the accountability to know that you have those in you and that you can do something to make the things that you don't like about yourself better for yourself. So it's all about doing this to make sure that you're the person that you can be and be the best person that you want to be. That's the key of this whole entire album. You're seeing Janine go through, and that believability, because she is absolutely living this every step of the way, comes through on this album, and you can hear it. Like I said, the album starts out, and each song starts out great sonically, but then when you get to the chorus, you understand the meaning of the song, the theme of it, and then you can go through the song again with a whole different perspective and really get a deeper understanding of it. That's the beauty of it. So when it comes to Vukovi, make sure you go to script for the podcast below where it says Vine Vukovi online. Link symbols for everything will be down there so you can be prepared for the album. Follow them on social media, find where they're going to be playing on tour, and get some merch as well. Support the band. Please do. Also, be sure to go down to the script of the podcast where it says Find the Chord Progression Podcast online. Links for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are down there. That's where you can connect with us, watch all our fun stuff on social media, but we're primarily on YouTube. So hit the subscribe button right down here to make sure you're not missing out on any Chord Progression Podcast videos and interviews. Be sure to hit the follow button if you're listening at Spotify or Apple Podcasts because we post all the interviews there too. Hit the like button to push this stuff in the algorithm. Thank you, Janine. This is a great one, and hope to see you in summer of 2025. We get to recap this whole album and see how well it went. So on that note, that's going to be it for me, everybody. Thank you for watching, listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one is with a big, healthy, and hearty. See